First and foremost, Frank, I want to say thank you for being who you are and like the role that you've had in my success. And like the great thing is you don't really know how large that is. I mean, we've talked about it a couple times, but you vouched for me on stuff with my background and prior choices that I made when I was younger to assist with the contracts that I have now and like the business growth that I have because when I came to FFL, I had one state, I had one insurance carrier, and I was getting denied by everybody. And this was like a really, can I cuss? It's just,
Yeah, you can cuss.
I just gotta make sure. But I had a really fucking slow start at this thing, and it was not this like beautiful Stanley Smith success story or Jay Masca success story. Like I was going through the mud and really trying to figure out like where my place was at in the world and like what value I brought to the marketplace because I just came off a really intense relapse. A lot of my story is related to drugs and alcohol, and I just come from a family like that. Like you're either a felon, you're either in prison, you're either just got out of prison, you're getting sober, or like you're dead. And that's the same thing for like both sides of my family. And so, getting into this business, I don't want to dive too far into my background because I can squirrel off to that. And if I do that at all, Frank, you can direct me. But like genuinely, I see people say it all the time, but if you get to know me and my life and my prior lifestyle and where things are at now, like this business has changed every single fucking area of my life. Like I just talked to my mom and her and I were laughing about, some stuff that I could have done better over the last year, not gambling and doing X, Y, and Z. But her and I were laughing like the problems that I used to have were so fucking significant in comparison to the problems that I have now because this business and this opportunity and because people like Frank and Sean Mike was the first time I met him before I even had my license was transparent about like yeah, he's like, I used to smoke crack. And I'm like, sweet. I'm like, this is my place. That wasn't my thing. But the transparency aspect of like being in a business where you're worth millions and millions of dollars and you can be transparent about your story and the stuff that you've struggled with. I was like, dude, this is my home. I like this. Like, I'm not going to be judged for being uh, for lack of better terms, a huge fuck up. And I got people working super hard, and I'm around people that are making tons of money and giving back to their community and doing the right thing. Like when I got into this business, I wasn't around a ton of people, but the people I got close to were people that were not making bread, getting bottle service, buying a whole bunch of blow, like all the stuff that I had been around in sales environments prior. And I was around people that were like, yeah, I have like an 820 credit score and I'm preparing to buy a house and doing this. I'm like, you guys are squares in comparison to what I used to hang out with, but I'm grateful to be around people that actually care about life and want to show up for their family. And one thing I'll say is like, we're all here for money. Like, raise your hand if you're here for money, for sure. If you're acting like you're not, you're full of fucking shit. Excuse my language. I'm really trying not to cuss, Frank, but it's just gonna come out. This business, we all came here for money, but I think what ends up happening and transparently what's changed for me is like I have been able to access the highest form of currency of getting to work with and develop other individuals because of this business and the opportunity that we have at hand. Where when you get in this thing, like, were any of you guys in a baller financial situation when you started this? Raise your hand if you were. Who was super broke? Majority of people. Like, you don't come to FFL being like, dude, I made $1.8 million last year. I'm just going to come check out this life insurance thing. Like, no one does. So I think when we come into this industry, right, we have this like gift of desperation. And I've been so low in my life in certain different categories, and I don't need to go through this whole sob story, but like the majority of my close friends are all dead or doing 10, 20 years in prison. Um, I have personally flatlined and died and come back to life twice. None of these are flexes, but it just kind of shows you the lifestyle. I have three felonies on my record. I was a felon when I was 15 years old, and I did not learn my lesson then, and I kept going and kept going and kept going. And I always had this internal like tick where I'm like, I want to be successful and I want to be a man of worth and I want to be looked up to and I want to make money and I want to change my life and the lives of the people around me. And just growing up and some of the dynamics I grew up around, like I went down the wrong vehicles to do that when I was younger. But thank God, like the stars aligned and I went through one last super gnarly relapse on drugs and alcohol, made the most money in my life, and then burned it all to the ground, went to rehab, pushed the restart button, got out, and then found family first life. And it was like my saving grace because I was beat into a spot of, how do I want to put it? The gift of desperation. Has anybody ever heard that term? I only hear people say that have massive wisdom that have been through a ton of shit. The gift of desperation. When do you become willing? When you're broke as fuck and you have nowhere to go and you don't have a ton of things to do. Like if all of us could maximize our willingness to the highest degree, we're all going to be rich. We're all going to make a ton of money. But like people do that for like a 2 day period. Where for me personally, I hit such a low bottom before I found Family First Life. And then I got around people that wanted to push me in the right direction where this thing just gave me another shot at life where in reality, I honestly thought my life was over. So this business and this opportunity can change your life if you let it. But also at the same time, like just to be real, 90% turnover rate in the industry overall. We don't have that at FFL, but like in the industry. So when I got into this, I I kind of pledged my allegiance to people, places, and things, and I stick it out. Frank brought up something about, another opportunity, but even right out the gate, like I knew in my heart of hearts, like with the way people have treated me at Family First Life, that's not something that I was going to do, right? If I ever was, it was going to be it was the right type of people, right? Initially, from what I thought, but with this business, I think if you carry the gift of desperation with you through the different levels that you go and you always remain willing to show the fuck up and roll your sleeves up, regardless if you made six figures last month or $6, like none of that's changed for me. And I don't have everything figured out. Like there's multiple people I see on here that I know. They know 10 times more than I do. But I think the energy and the awareness that you have and like the work I've had to do on myself to continuously stay clean and sober, wow, my brain wants me to get fucked up every single day, but I want to build a big business. I want to take care of my mom. I want to change people's lives. I want to be the exact opposite of the person that I used to be, right? I don't want to be dangerous. I don't want people to like fear me and be like, I don't know what he's going to. I want people to look up to me and be like, that guy's solid. When he says he's going to do something, he fucking shows up and he does, right? I posted this on my Instagram story the other day, and my mom taught me this, who's 33 years clean and sober and used to sell Coke back in the day and comes from one of the most fucked up families that I've ever met. And it happens to be mine, right? My mom told me self-esteem is built from esteemable acts. It's one of the most basic things that you can possibly say, but why do we all not do it? Like, oh man, my self-esteem's not there. It's like, do esteemable fucking acts. Frank, you and I have talked about this. Bro, when I go gamble and I blow $30,000 in a night, bro, my self-esteem, I don't feel good about myself, right? When I feel good is I'm like, dude, you know what? I want to gamble, but I'm going to go spend this money on leads, or I'm going to go buy this new agent leads that grinds day in and day out and is really down on their luck. That's how I build my self-esteem, right? Not from going to do X, Y, and Z and filling a void and doing all this stuff. I've done that in the majority of my life. And it's like we all have those different categories, right? And we're all winning in certain areas. But I want to win in the majority of areas and set the tone for the people around me or anybody that, might be dumb enough to look up to me. And because I deserve to show them what the fuck is possible. So for some of you guys that like got some motion right now, I think there's always more in the tank, right? I have 30 direct agents that I work with. People are like, man, maybe it's time to stop hiring direct. I'm like, fuck you. I'm like, I'm going to build this thing super wide so I can set the tone for how to be super profitable, how to build a business, and how to actually work. Like, if you have 30 direct agents and you're building teams underneath those people, dude, your quality of life is not going to be serene. I have 4,600 unread texts right now. I'm trying to figure it out. But guess what? Is my mom proud of me? Yes. Is my dad proud of me? Yes. Is my brother that got clean and sober and came over to work with me because he saw the vision and the vehicle and the path that we were building and stopped selling dope to come work with me? Is he proud of me? Yes. Like those are the things that we're searching for. And you guys might not have those types of dynamics, but I think those are the things that we're searching for where it's holding ourselves accountable enough. Like Jesse, you're a beast, bro. I had the pleasure of connecting with you on the cruise. Would you say you have stuff that you personally need to work on right now?
Let me unmute him because I mute everybody because
Oh, you're
inevitably
good.
somebody unmutes and starts talking and it freaks me out. So let me unmute Jesse. All right, Jesse, you can unmute.
In honor of your sharing so far, fuck yes. I have a lot to work on.
Me too. And that's like the biggest blessing of living in a spot where I'm willing to work on this stuff. Every time I talk on any call or meet with my guys, I'm like, dude, I don't have it all figured out. Like I've been in this business. It's not like I've been in here for 20 years. And it's not like I've even had my shit together long enough to act like I have stuff figured out. But I am going to show up with the energy. I am going to be accountable. I am going to control the controllables. I'm not going to jump into people's breakout rooms on Zoom or go into their office at the office and like, man, this, and that. Like all of those things. I want to be a bright light in people's lives because the alternate version of myself will fucking rob you and take all your shit. And I need to be a bright light for people in their life because I'm not going to let that happen. And I know that's extreme to say, but in reality, like, I want people to wake up. People on my team need to wake up, dude. Like, life is a blessing. I look at it with agents. They're like sitting on Zoom, scrolling on TikTok, checking out some hot chick, kind of dialing. They just spent $150 on leads, but they've been in the business for a year. It's just like this whole mediocre thing. And I'm like, dude, unfortunately, someone close to you is going to fucking die, and it's going to take that for you to wake up. Or something really bad is going to have to happen for you to wake up and realize the opportunity that we have at hand. Someone near you is going to have to get cancer and they cannot pay for their fucking medical bills. And you're going to realize that you should have been working for the last 2 years. All of these things. Like, I wanted to go get the money where if my mom is a saint. She is so awesome and has changed so many people's lives and continues to. But if my mom gets cancer without health insurance, without any stuff being, I need to have the bankroll to cover all of those things in her bills. At 29 years old, I need to have all that stuff put together, taken care of. And when you think that way, and you're mentally preparing and doubling down and outworking the odds of life, dude. I've been dealt shitty cards my entire life. I don't even complain about it. I don't think twice about it. People will be like, no. I'm like, Frank, I'm going to figure out a way for it to be a yes. I love you, bro, but I'm going to figure it out. Right? He's like, I don't think it's going to work. He's never said that to me, but that would be my response to people. I'm a multi-felon and I live in a penthouse and drive a Lamborghini as my daily driver. Like that's was cool when I got it, but that's not like the meaning of life. But you can definitely bet yourself being a felon, drug addict, whatever. I've kind of reframed my perspective of life. And if I have these things going for me, kind of what I'm getting at is like Brooke, Sharon, Rashad, what's up, dude? Also Jordan. Like if I can do those things, why can you not do them 3 times better? Right? You can get all the contracts when you start. You're not going to miss out on 60%, 70% of your overrides when you build a business. I wasn't crying about any of that shit. I wasn't crying that I had 3 states and I had a team of 35 people that were writing business and I wasn't getting overrides. Dude, I was just showing up. I was grateful. I'm like, I can go make crazy money off personal production. I'm going to get some overrides. I'm going to figure the rest out later. I just knew I needed to take care of people and show up and lead from the front and do everything to the best of my ability while recruiting a ton of people direct so I could show people how to build a profitable business. I was like, you best believe, like, Frank, I was just looking at your numbers, bro. You've done a great job. I mean, I already knew this, but you've done a great job of building a business and structuring it that way, where you have multiple different legs, multiple different leaders, all these things. We're like, that's what I want to continue to do. Where as people grow, I'm not living in fear of people outgrowing me or this. I'm living in abundance. Like, I'm going to work hard enough that there's enough money where it's like, dude, you could sue me for everything I fucking have. I'm going to go back and get it again. Right. And the one day every 6 months that I might not feel like that and I'm down in the dumps, guess who I can call? People like Frank, people like Sean, because I've developed relationships with people because I've worked hard enough that even though Frank knows I'm flawed, if I call Frank and I'm like, bro, I need some advice, I know factually he'll be like, what you got? Because he takes me seriously, because I take myself seriously and I show the fuck up and I do what I say I'm going to do. Do we all do that? I don't know. I'm in the season of my life where I'm going to do that. because my family deserves it, my agents deserve it. And while I don't have everything figured out, I don't have the answer to every question, or I'm not the world's best producer, the world's best recruiter, any of those things. I'm going to make up for it with the energy that I have. Right. And I've literally looked life or death in the face multiple different times. And it's like, I choose to live the life of leveraging the life insurance industry as a vehicle to change the majority of the problems in my life that were financial, and the other ones that are not can be solved with fucking therapy and mentorship, which is like the other 6% of my problems, which are the biggest problems that I have. Right. So I think we're all people that are just trying to make it. But bro, I didn't wake up at 5 years old and be like, Dad, I want to be a life insurance broker. I was like, I want to be an astronaut or a gangster, or I want to be a lawyer, whatever it was at the time, right? I
Gangster.
never I never thought it was going to be life insurance. But like, this is the thing that I found that can change all the things in your life. You have to believe it. You got to show the fuck up 6 days a week. I haven't taken a vacation yet, and I've worked at Family First Life for 4 years in January, right? And I'm due for one. I'm getting a little psychotic, but I think like depending on where you're at in life, you have to write an agreement with yourself of what you're willing to do and what you're willing to sacrifice and who you're willing to help and how late you're willing to work and the plans that you're willing to change and renegotiate and the stuff you're going to miss if you actually want to be successful. If you want to get in Frank's position, dude, Frank sacrificed a lot of stuff and had to get a lot of people in his life on board with what he's doing. Right? There's a lot of shit that you guys don't know that Frank has had to do to sacrifice to build the opportunity that you guys have at hand. And there's a lot of shit that the leaders and managers sacrifice on your team to build a great opportunity. Yet there's a whole bunch of people on this meeting that I don't even know that are staring at their phones scrolling on TikTok. It's like, at what point do you wake the fuck up? It's the same thing for people on my team. So it's not specific to this team. But like, at what point are we like, hey, dude, this guy might be on the call and share something that might be game changing for
Like,
you? Like Frank getting on my call, I'm messaging people on my team like, dude, what are you doing? This is one of the biggest beasts in the life insurance industry, right? So I think like ears open. I had to keep my mouth shut except for when I was asking questions to clarify and reporting back information from the advice that I got from people to be like, hey, I tried this. This is how it worked. Do you have any other feedback? So Frank, to kind of take it from there, and I don't know how long you want me to go. I'm happy to stop whenever, but I'll say this. I think we all have the same opportunity, regardless of what person hired you, how long they've been here, or what you have going on. You just have to take this shit seriously enough for people to take you seriously across the board because they'll help you regardless, whether they're making money off you, whether they're not, or anything like that. But I think we have to take this thing seriously enough where it's life or death, because for me, it is. I'm down to
yeah.
ride for this business. I really am. Frank, you know that. And it's like you can feel that off people. And I know, Frank, you could lose everything and go to zero. You'd run it right back up.
Yeah, for sure.
You've watched me do that. I'm not even scared about it happening. I'm like, okay, let's ride. Let's find quality people in the process, right? Like,
Well, dude, and there's a few things that you said. I think I need people to truly understand how important it is because this is one of the books I tell everybody they should read is called The Noticer by Andy Andrews. It's all about perspective. And the fact that like you get started and you have like one carrier, a couple states, and you're losing overrides, and your perspective on this was, I'm so grateful to have this opportunity. I'll write a ton of business, make a bunch of money, and I get some overrides here and there. I'll figure it out later. And I think a lot of times people perseverate so much on the things that they can't control at this moment. And it winds up occupying so much of their mental space and time that they're losing out on what's right in front of them. And if they would just focus on, you said, I focus on the things I can control right now. Like I do what I need to do every day. I come in fired up. I go to work. I'm excited. I'm passionate. Dude, that's what you can control. You can't control if Jim Jimbo's insurance firm wants to give you a contract because you made some bad mistakes as a kid. Like, first of all, I'm sure there are people at that insurance company that made bad decisions as a kid. They're just not getting it hold against them. You know what I mean? So like nobody's perfect. I'm not. I'm a huge fan of second chances. Believe that. So, but like you weren't sitting there crying about it, going like this isn't fair. I'm missing. No, you weren't looking at what you were missing out on. You were looking at what you were earning. I think that's the first thing that people need to understand. Attitude and perspective is everything, and you can't be negative. You can't be grateful and negative at the same time. So if you're thankful for something, you can't be negative. So if you wake up every day thankful that you woke up, thankful that you're alive, thankful that you're breathing, thankful that you have this opportunity, it's very hard to be negative that day. Second thing you said is I look and I'm working on stuff every single day on me. I don't have it figured out. That's why your team loves you the way they love you, is because you're very transparent and you just are, you're not pretending to be something you're not. We're all a piece of work in motion. Like period end of story, we're all working on ourselves. And you're just very open about that, which makes people feel safe around you and they believe you. Because when somebody's full of crap and you see the world crumbling and they're still full of crap, they're like, dude, I don't trust this guy. He's lying to me. So I love that. I think it's big and I think it's why your team is growing as fast as it's growing. Um, can you talk to us a little bit about what you do with the new agents in getting them started as fast as you're getting them started, how your what your training process looks like, anything that could help these guys go, all right, I can do that. Because I think, you know, I know how it was for me when I got in the business. When I was looking at people that were doing a million, a year or a million, because there was really nobody doing a million a month, but 600,000 a month was like the biggest team at the company I started at in this business. I was like, that's like impossible. You know what I mean? So they would talk, but I'm like, yeah, but they're incredible. I can't do that. I think a lot of times when you have someone that's only been doing this for 4 years, not 17, and is growing at the pace you're growing, it's easier for them to buy into what you're saying because it's more real, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Um, it's funny too, because when I came into the business, I was like, whoa, how do I get there in this? And I was working with Josh Williams well, I wasn't really working with him, but I was in that hierarchy and people were growing so fast. But one thing I want to be once again transparent about is there's two different types of people like I look at for newer people. If you're gonna compare yourself, which I think is good for competition, but at the same time, don't let that thing be a thief, because there's people that are coming over from other brokerages or globe or captive companies or whatever it is. And then there's people that are brand new to the space that have never been exposed to the shit in their life. Those are two different categories for me because if you're coming over from a captive company and you've worked there for a couple of years, it's not to discredit anybody, but it is two different things where you got to know who you're talking with. But I think it's good to compare yourself to the guy that came over from a captive company so you work harder. But in reality, if you don't know 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 people and you're new to the space, it's going to be harder. So just be transparent about that with yourself because the results get skewed because I was comparing myself to Josh Williams, who was recruiting 50 people a month. And I'm like, how do I do this? Someone's like, bro, you need to respectfully try to hire 5 people a month and start with that and go from that point. But I think with getting people started, I'm thinking about abundance right out the gate. Like I'm trying to hire enough people where like ultimately I can cherry pick the people that I want to work with. Because for me, I'm just gonna pass those people off because once again, I live in abundance and I put the work in so that I can choose some of the people that I want to work with. Was that how it was right out the gate? No, I'm like, dude, you got a pulse. Come on, buddy, let's roll. Right. And I don't think you are the decider of whether someone's gonna be good or not. Because guess what? Me on paper. I was a fucking liability, dude. like, damn, this guy's got some mental health issues, multiple felonies, and like has negative $50,000 to his name. Just got out of rehab. Like, that's not the winning horse that you bet on. But some of those people or myself are the best people to do that with. But I think hiring and putting yourself out there enough where you have the opportunity to build and get the exposure and the experience, you might be training someone. They're not going to work out, but you're getting better yourself. Obviously, the goal is for them to work out. But if I've gotten sober, here's a hypothetical. If I've gotten sober and figured out how to change my life and stay sober and like continue to walk a path with God and change other people's lives and do this, if I don't give that away, I forget where I came from. right? Like I forget how fucked up my life is, and I now I get in my Lamborghini and go up the elevator and get my penthouse. I forget that it can all be stripped away very quickly. But if I work with people that have similar problems or in this business, in the same industry, and pass off the experience, strength, hope, and knowledge that I have acquired, I'm going to become better at what I do. I'm going to become more confident. I'm going to start selling more business. I'm going to start unmuting more on Zoom. So I think when people start, I try to hire people and multiple people at the same time because competition is good. If you hire just me, Frank, and it's like, I'm coming on, I'm like, you don't have a lot of agents, which you do, but it's say hypothetical situation, you don't. It's just me. I got full access to you. But if you hire three people and I'm like, hey, dog, these guys are on Zoom. Are you jumping on? Are we rolling? What's happening? What's going on? Then the competition starts to happen. So I try to hire people in threes so I can get them rolling at the same time and create some friendly competition. And, it's changed with my process of getting people rolling. But all my people, I get them started on aged leads because guess what? That's what I started on. And if you can't sell an aged lead, dude, I don't really want to fuck with you. Because if you do not have that, if you're looking for the live transfer express machine where it's just like, oh yeah, I got the luxury, when when the ship starts to sink, you're gonna be like, dude, I'm going to another ship. The ship isn't sinking, it's just a fucking leak that you got to plug. And how do you fix the leak, dude? More work. The tonality, all these things that you learn through calling leads where you have people that are like, fuck you, Christo, stop calling me. I'm like, Marianne, will you just hear me out for 30 seconds? I just want to shoot straight with you really quick. She's like, all right, what do you got? Like acquiring that skill set so that you can develop people into the higher quality leads, I think it's super important because anybody that I've started unless they have a high level background in sales and are like, bro, I need to skip all the regular shit. Like I've been doing this for 15 years. Outside of those people, they crush it for a couple weeks, a couple months, and then they're the biggest liability to my team because people start looking up to them. They got the sauce, they take advice from them, but they've really faced no adversity in the business. So I think I want people to face adversity early on and see how they handle it. Just like in my friend group, dude. Like I'm not super special, but like for me to consider you like a friend or like a brother, like you have to be tried, true, tested, and you can't. I'm actually not going to say what I'm going to say, but I cannot question you on any level with the life that I've lived and the situations I've been in. And same with agents. I'd rather have people around me that I'm like, dude, we're locked in, we're ready to go. And so the training aspect, I think the best thing that you guys can do is have people hear you and have them believe in the fact that you believe in what you're doing a ton and throw it up on the scoreboard very, very consistently. I've never had an experience while working at Family First Life because I started recruiting early on because I knew it would force me to make this shit work if other people were relying on me. I've never had the opportunity to just sit somewhere and like write and be like, hey, I got 6 days a week for 4 weeks. I'm going to write business and see how much I can write in a month. I've always been training. I've always been developing. I've always been spending time with other people. Oh, just closed this deal, didn't even update my spreadsheet, jumping in a breakout room with somebody else. It's messy, right? I'm not organized. I've never been super organized, but like people are getting results and they're getting paid, dude. Like having 21-year-olds on your team make 50 racks in a month, like deposited, that's the biggest flex I have in the business. People
Yeah.
having their credit score go from 500 to 780 and about to buy a house in their early 20s, that's the biggest flex I have in business. The fact that I can pay my mom money monthly because I've worked my ass off, that's the biggest flex I have in business. So I think we have to like focus on that stuff. And rather than it being like the perfect systems and processes, bro, you need to like roll your sleeves up. And I do too on a daily basis and just get in the fucking trench with people and let them know that you care. You don't have to have the answer to everything, right? Like Frank has the answer to the majority of problems in this business. But if you aren't at that level or you're not at that experience, dude, you can be like, hey, bro, I don't have the answer. I'll call you when I get it. You don't have to know everything. But if you have the willingness to show up and work with your people, bro, that's why they're there. They just want to know you care. Hey, my goal is to get you paid and help change your life. I'm going to show up, right? If you're not showing up, I'm still going to be doing the same shit, bro. Let me know when you're ready to rock. So that's my perspective. I know I didn't give you guys very specific things, but I think the biggest thing is letting people know that you care. And the days that you don't want to work, you'll go the extra mile, jump on Zoom with them, help them get that sale, get them a flight to come work. Like those things where you can build connection with people, that's where you get riders.
And that's what you're looking for, riders. You're not
Yep.
looking for writers. You're looking for riders.
Riders.
And
Yep.
you said enough in that, in the fact that your biggest flex is having a 20-year-old, 21-year-old make 50 racks. And for y'all don't know what a rack is, you're not gamblers. It's 50K. Um, Paying your mom's bill, like that's my flex. Having people's credit score, like that's the difference in someone that's going to build an agency that's going to be massively stable, because his number one focus is the agents. And it's hard to teach that, but it's not impossible to learn it. It's really hard to teach it, but if you truly want to do that, you can learn to be that way. I think some people are inordinately just born to care about other people, and I think that's probably you, Christo, because your life was so messy that you're so thankful that you have this opportunity, and the more people you can help, it's almost like you feel like you owe, because you know what I mean. And I get that because our paths are very similar. So I get all that. What do you say to folks how do you handle people's mindsets? Because for me, this business equates four things: lead flow, phone schedule, lead flow schedule, phone script, and then obviously attitude. You got to have a positive attitude, because people that are negative suck, and they're never going to make it. And get, like, we just had an issue here where an agent's young. He, got some agents on his team. One of the agents super negative. I'm like, dude, quit. Like, stop. Because you're a detriment to your team. Like, you're a detriment to the people that are here. And I'm sorry. I want you to win. I love you, but I can't, like, allow you to ruin six others. You know what I mean? So how do you guys handle that? Because it's everywhere. I mean, it's not just this business and us. It's in everything we do. But how do you handle mindset with folks?
It's funny that you asked that because I've been doing one-on-ones with all my direct agents and then anybody that's kind of like a hitter that's their direct over the last like week and a half. I still have like 20 more to do, which has been a tall order. But I think it's super important to do that shit because we get so busy and wrapped up in it. And it's been wild to meet with all these individuals. And I have some amazing people on my team, right? Like I got some amazing, and then I have the whole other thing that we all deal with as well, where I also can't be like expressing the way I truly feel. Like Frank, you can do that with me, right? Like I'm solid enough, and I'd be like, "Hey, dude, thanks for the criticism and feedback," and you're like, "Yeah, I love you," right? It's the raw truth, transparency aspect of it. But I think with it, it's like the mindset. Some people just have it, and some people don't, and some people have been through enough mud where they're like, "I'm willing." The gift of desperation. Then some people I'm like, dude, if you don't correct this, like the alternative is going to be really rough. And so I've been meeting with a lot of these people and going over some mindset, and like the most fucked up part of business in general and everyone being like, yeah, I want to get into life insurance because you can make crazy money and do all this and do it. It sounds all good. And you're like, bro, it's going to be hard. They're like, oh, for sure. I'm built for this, bro. In reality, like I would say 10% of the people that join the life insurance space are built for it. There's another like 20% that can become built for it, right? And then there's like 70% that are just trying to figure themselves out in their lives, and then they're going to blame it on the business, but they really didn't work and show the fuck up and they're not willing. So I think the biggest thing that I look for when I'm meeting with people in the mindset is like, are you willing? They're like, willing to do what? I'm like, are you willing? And they're like, what? I'm like, bro, are you fucking willing? Because for me, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Right? Like for my business and how many lives it's changing and what I have going on, like it's gotten to a point where I would gladly get shot in the face for it. And that's extreme. But like, dude, I'm willing to risk it all for what I got going on. And that you can feel. You can feel it through a screen. You can feel it around me. Like I'm happy go lucky and whatever. But when it comes down to business, like I'm dangerous, and I want to be that way, but I want to be a big teddy bear that everyone can hug. And so the mindset aspect, I want people to feel comfortable around me. But at the same time, with meeting with people about the mindset, it's like, Dude, the alternative for you, let's play the tape out, right? Like, let's truthfully play the tape out and check out the other industries and see where things are at and see where you're going to go. Or let's play the tape out of like, we all shut the fuck up unless it's a question and we take the advice and we show up with really good energy, really good attitude, and a servant's heart, right? Like, I think if you play the tape out at FFL of, hey, I have my non-negotiables, this is happening every single day. I have my money making activities, which could be 5, it could be 4, it could be 3, it could be 12, depending on what stage of the business you're in. I'm going to check those boxes and I'm going to check the non negotiables and I show up with a good attitude. It is really, really, really hard to not be successful in this industry.
Hmm.
If you are creative and you have some fucking tenacity, dude, I could lose it all right now and I'd go out, like if I had to, I'd go out there with a street sign and I'd be doing Americo apps on my iPhone. I'd be like, insurance, I'd figure out some way to get people to make it happen, but like you either have that or you don't. And there's many people that do this better, faster, smarter than me, but I think the mindset aspect of it, if you can bulletproof your brain of like no matter what happens, I'm gonna make this shit work. I deserve it. The people around me deserve it. And I'm going to work this thing hard enough to where it's like, I'm going to fund all the other things and the passion projects and the lifestyle and all the things that I've wanted with this. And then you let that, like, you funnel that into your business, bro. It's hard to not get everyone around you inspired. So I think the mindset for this, like, transparently, I used to go around and sell drugs when I was 16, and I would listen to Andy Frisella early on, his podcast and his stuff. I'd be doing bad stuff, but I'm tapped into personal development, right? And that carried into this business because I'm like, I'm going to be successful. It's not going to be doing this, but this is what I'm doing right now. And then you channel that into other stuff, and you find yourself on a Friday night rather than going out to the clubs or doing X, Y, and Z. You're reading a product cheat sheet on an IUL, right? You're like, I'm going to figure this stuff out so I can show it to other people. But the mindset is the biggest thing. Not to go off on a tangent, but it's the biggest thing undeniably. And I challenge all of you to increase the level of exposure you have to personal development.
Huge. Do you read books? Do you listen to podcasts more?
Podcasts, dude, I wish I was a reader. The only time that I've read books are when I'm forced to read books while I'm unable to leave a facility.
Okay. So what podcast? No, it's to each their own. What's your favorite podcast for mindset purposes?
I would say anything Andy Frisella, because he's got a pretty crazy story. Um, a little more like God-centered and less brutal. Ed Milet, he
I
drops
love
some
Ed.
sauce. He's like, I've been driving in a car and heard some stuff, and it just kind of like woke me up in a different way. I like Sean Whalen. That's another way to kind of think about life. But all those guys, when I look at it, they're super accountable. They're extremely transparent, and they're all just trying to get better, and they're all building huge businesses. They're all men of faith, even though Andy Frisella kind of says fuck every other word, which I'm working on that as well too. But those are all men that are super accountable that, have employees between 100 and 5,000 people that work for them, and they're changing the game for the industry. And that's what I want to be like 10 years from now.
For sure. And you will be, I have no doubt. Like you just have that. And I beg to differ. Like when I was in the mortgage company, in the mortgage business, we had, and this was before I went to rehab, but there were colors. Teams were colors, and it was purple, which was the team we always used to fight, and we were aqua. And the purple team was the team full of people out of AA and NA. It was
Mhm.
all recovering addicts. And dude, like it was us and them number one and number two every single month, every single year. Because they again, their perspective was, I'm so grateful to be here and have this opportunity. They just grinded. It's not that
Mhm.
they weren't, they just grinded better than everybody else and had a better attitude. So I love that. I'm gonna send you. Actually, I'll tell you all this book because there's some. I mean, this is more for the men, but I'll have Jamie drop a book for the ladies. But this, you got to read this or listen to it. You can listen to it. It's called "Stand Firm and Act Like Men" by Joby Martin. It's life changing as a and like if you have kids, young men, give this to your kids. It'll change their world. More faith-based, but he's a funny dude. He keeps your attention, but he drops some really good knowledge. Dude, last words. We usually wrap this up right about now. Parting words you want to drop at these folks? We don't open it up for questions because that would never end. But anything you want to wrap up by saying?
Yeah, I through all the situations I've been in life and all the things. Once again, my mom, I just remember her saying I was in it. I'm not going to explain the situation, but it was a situation where I was just absolutely fucked. Like there was no way out of it. It was like time to just be like, I'm out, call it quits, pull the trigger, right? And I just remember being on the phone with my mom, and she was like, "Don't give up before the fucking miracle." And I talked about this on Sean Mike's podcast. I've done it on multiple different podcasts. And it's like, I repeat in my head nonstop, regardless of how good my life is or what I have going on, don't give up before the fucking miracle. Because we all have personal stuff going on. We all have family stuff going on. We all have financial stuff going on, no matter how much money you make or what you got going on. But it's like, if you commit to yourself, do not give up before the fucking miracle and do esteemable acts and consistently show up. There is nothing that you have going on in your personal life or your professional life that you cannot work through or outwork in this business, whether it's financial, mental health, all of those things. And like, I really challenge you guys starting now to take all the things that you plan for 2026 and New Year's Day and all those things and start applying that stuff every single day, because life can either be super awesome, right? And you can be living in the world of I'm going to double down and I'm going to outwork the odds and I'm going to do all this and prepare for whatever is coming and be prepared for when it comes. Or you can just be getting hit in the face by life and being like, how'd that happen? Right? I want to be prepared financially, spiritually, mentally, all of the above. And like, dude, if you're having a rough time in the business, these are the only words that I hope you remember from what I said. If you're like, this isn't going to work, I don't have money for leads, I got chargebacks, whatever it is, don't give up before the fucking miracle. Carry some tenacity, get creative, make it happen. And that's all I got.
Dude, that's amazing, and I love that. Don't give up before the miracle. And I see people quit so often right before they're about to turn that corner. And it's honestly, and if you build this thing long enough, you'll see it happen over and over again. It breaks my heart. It truly does, because it's just, if you just stick with this thing long enough to figure it out, you'll live an amazing life, and you'll help and serve so many different people. It's the greatest industry in the world. So, dude, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Guys, give Christo some applause on the screen. Fire, yeah, I like the fire. This we'll drop this recording later on this evening or tomorrow. But dude, when you see Christo at conference, go up and say hi to him. Like, ask him some questions. He is a stud, and he's just getting started. So, bro, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Dude, I love you, Frank. I appreciate you, bro.
Y'all have a great night. We'll see you all on Thursday or tomorrow on the tonight at 8 p.m. for the business, the overview by Trey, and then tomorrow for the CRM training. So talk to y'all later. Thank you again, Christo. Appreciate you guys.
Later, y'all. Have a good night.